Magick Archer vocation is widely regarded as one of the strongest from Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, mostly due to the raw power of Ricochet Hunter. However, Dragon's Dogma 2 appears to be taking a more balanced approach with this hybrid vocation. In the limited number of clips that are provided, we see Magick Archer not only boast great offensive power, but also many supportive abilities as well. So today we're going to be covering every single skill that we can find on the Magick Archer from official sources that are provided from Capcom. Starting with the vocation colors, the Magick Archer vocation is a mix between blue and yellow, making it a hybrid vocation which can exclusively only be used by the Arisen. In Dragon's Dogma 2, they wield a singular magic bow and provide a wide-ranging amount of skills. So far, I've seen the most confusion regarding its core skills. While we don't have complete confirmation as to what the light and heavy attacks will be for Magick Archer, I have a very solid speculation that I will share with you and explain my reasoning. To start, the vocation action is pretty easy. Similar to the Archer vocation, we can see that the Magick Archer gains the ability to aim using a reticle the exact same way that the Archer does. Now, the reticle itself is where things get tricky. I've seen many different theories on what the reticle actually means, whether it's a measure of attack power or whether it's a measure of single target versus multiple target. However, I think I've gone over enough footage to lay down a claim for my own. What I propose is actually fairly simple. The light attack appears to be using these golden seekers, which can be charged using the square button. The longer you hold down this charge, the more the reticle changes. You can see that there are these little charges that we have on the outside of the reticle, and the longer you charge this action for, the more sigils disappear from the reticle and the more appear on your enemy. We can see in the action trailer, right as the camera cuts into the Magick Archer, that all of the charges are currently on one specific spot on this Minotaur, and they actually shift over the more the Arisen aims towards a different weak spot. We can see that 2 charges actually transfer over from the fully charged 8 shot. When these are all released, all of the Seeker bolts eventually dissipate once they hit the target. And this is the same in all of the other clips. However, there is an additional element with the heavy attack, which we'll see here in a second. In the Magick Archer gameplay trailer, we can see that the Arisen is charging up what appears to be a 5-fold bolt attack, and I say that because we see 5 charges on the Griffin as it flies in. But as this charging is done, we can see that the magic bow actually gains an ice affinity. And this is proven if we cut back over to the main trailer, where we can see this Garm getting frozen as more and more ice attacks are fired. Again, there appear to be 5 Seeker bolts that are enchanted with ice once this is fully charged, and the bolts themselves actually hit for multiple times. Not only this, but we can see that the magic bow is actually lingering with ice affinity for additional attacks. And if we look at the reticle while this attack is being charged, we can see that the 8 charges on the reticle are actually disappeared, and this is true for every time that the Arisen is charging up this 5-fold bolt attack. So from what we can see on this footage, we can tell that the Arisen with the Magick Archer vocation is able to grant itself an ice affinity using one of its attacks, this one being 5-fold bolt, and when the Arisen goes to attack the Griffin a second time, we can see that light attack come up again. We can see that as the Arisen is charging up this new move, that the reticle is losing its charges, but it keeps the ice affinity for a very short time, and we can see that the next volley of Seekers actually loses its ice affinity, so this is only applied for a very short time. So that about covers light and heavy attack, I believe. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong or if you agree. Anything to help the channel engagement. And as an aside, we can also see in the action trailer that the Arisen, when it swaps back to the Magick Archer vocation using the Warfarer vocation, that it can actually charge up these light attacks very quickly, which I think will be a core skill that you acquire later on. That's probably the longer section of the video. Let's move on to the regular skills the Magick Archer has. The first skill the Magick Archer has that we've seen in the first trailer is this 18 bolt attack. I say 18 bolts. I can see that some of these bolts are fired off twice, and there are 9 total, so I'm assuming that's the number. Could be a little less. Anyway, the Arisen fires this at a charging Minotaur and then subdues it, so I do believe that this is a very high power attack, and there does not seem to be any elemental affinities associated with it. It just seems like a very powerful offensive skill with a lot of different bolts. Obviously, if you're looking for damage output, this is probably a good skill to run on any Magick Archer Archer run. Next we have this skill here, which appears to revive a pawn that's been knocked unconscious. We know that regular revives actually only give pawns a portion of their health, so it is unknown if this skill would revive the pawn with its full health or with any portion, but the one thing we do know it does is that it prevents the Arisen from spending an extended amount of time trying to revive it in the middle of a fight. It's also unknown if there are any drawbacks to using this skill, such as losing any amount of HP or anything like that. Next is what looks like Explosive Rivet from Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. It appears that in this case you can actually control the bolt in midair, and the bolt will explode upon impact instead of needing to hit it with an additional physical attack. In comparison to the first version of this skill, this is a massive upgrade that allows you to keep your range as a Magick Archer, given that you don't have any additional weapons on you that can be used at melee range. Next is everyone's favorite that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Ricochet Hunter, which appears to have a cast time duration that is present on the reticle. Once it's fully charged, you will then fire off a steady stream of Ricochet Hunter Seekers, and then they will proceed to bounce off the walls and eliminate any foe in your way, as long as you're in an enclosed space. Again, this was a very powerful skill in Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, specifically in Bitter Black Isle, the DLC location, because of its enclosed spaces. So if you're a Magick Archer and you're going to go into any caves or dungeons, make sure to have this in your kit, as it's a very useful offensive tool. And finally, the last skill that we have for the Magick Archer is what appears to be a repurposed version of Holy Furor from the Mystic Knight Vocation in Dragon's Dogma 1. In Dragon's Dogma 2, the Magick Archer can use this to target multiple enemies in a very wide area to completely subdue and knock down their target, even against larger enemies like this Griffin here. The only drawback is that the Arisen actually loses part of its maximum HP whenever this skill is used. And while it is not confirmed if there is any skill that would be a Meister's teaching, I would bet that it would be this one. It just seems like a very strong ace in the hole type skill that you'll definitely want to keep on your Magick Archer at all times in order to subdue any enemy you happen to come across. However, you'll want to use it sparingly, as from what we've seen in previous interviews, the journeys that we take in Dragon's Dogma 2 are often long and arduous, and you're only able to gain back your maximum health whenever you rest at an inn or at a campfire if one happens to be nearby. So on prolonged trips into the wilderness, you might want to be very cautious about using this skill. And that, my friends, will cover everything that we know about the Magick Archer Vocation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again real soon.